Hey guys, so it's super nice to be back making videos again. Today I want to go ahead and again kind of do another powder coating video, because this is something that I feel people don't realize how easy it is, and at the same time, you know, how fairly cheap it is just to do it at home. But you know, there's different occasions when you feel like, you know, this is something that you might want to pursue at home versus something you want to do or get done professionally. So what I want to do is, even though I'm doing my FZ09, my rear sets specifically today, this is applicable to any project at home. But also, if you're following the FZ09, you can probably get a couple tips, you know, by watching what I'm doing with the rear sets today. So first thing I want to say is, I started back in 2014, so the equipment that I'm using today is actually almost 10 years old, you know. And actually, this is what you need in order to powder coat today. So you have to get the gun, you have to get an air compressor, which, you know, it doesn't have to be a big one because it's actually a low pressure application. You have to get an oven, and a dedicated oven, I might say, and then the actual powder with the colors that you're going to use, you know, for whatever application you're going to use. Alright, as I'm showing you today, the first part is just to, you know, disassemble the part. So you're removing the part from the bike and then breaking the parts down to as many parts as possible. So you don't want, for example, a shift lever or a brake lever that's going to be being used to apply brake and it has some motion or pivoting motion or whatnot. You don't want to powder over something like that. So you want to break the parts apart so you can first clean them, and then secondly, so you can, you know, paint them all separate, so you can, you know, get the best result. So you can have the best option to kind of position the parts in a way that, you know, it's easier for you to kind of put in an oven and whatnot. I don't think I have to stress the fact that this is the most important part of the powder, right? So you have to get the parts clean, like really, really, really clean. So you don't want any oils, you don't want any dirt, you don't want any grease. So I'm not showing it today, but I actually submerged these parts on degreaser for, you know, a couple times. So I did it first just to kind of break loose the stuff that I can see, and even though I felt like the parts were pretty clean, I went back at it a couple times just until I'm pretty sure that there's no, you know, crevices or anywhere in the part that actually there's dirt. So I'm actually going to go through very thoroughly, and just to ensure that they're going to be very clean and dry. This is also very important. This is the area where I'm actually spending time making sure the parts are flawless. By that I mean these parts had some marks and whatnot. So I'm actually filing some areas and sanding some areas. But you have to make sure they are going to be clean and they're going to be flat. But you have to clean them again to make sure that there's no particles that are going to be left behind. Now I'm going to be preheating the oven to 400 degrees, and this is where I'm actually going to be taking the part for what I call outgassing. So this is going to be allowing the part to really be dry and to expel any gases that otherwise will be preventing me from getting the best result when I'm powder coating. And we are ready for powder coating. In case you didn't know, the actual part is already charged, and I'm completing the circuit that's going to allow for the powder to actually stick to the part. And let's powder. At this point, the part is going to be in the oven curing for about 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees. While the part is curing, I'm going to be prepping the gun for clear. Not every part needs to be clear, but in my application, I'm going to be applying clear after the initial part has been cured, at least, you know, halfway through. I'm going to be cleaning the gun so that I can remove all the excess from the black powder, and I'm going to be bringing the clear, which is going to be a kind of whitish powder. The part is going to be momentarily white, but eventually it's going to go back to that glossy finish. Here you can tell how, you know, the part is actually becoming white, and that's actually the clear. So it's gonna be perfect. So just make sure that you have great coverage. You don't have to overdo it. Just make sure that it's completely covered, and then put it back on the oven. And now I'm going to leave this part here for 20 minutes at 450 degrees for the clear to cure. Remember, the numbers I'm giving to you, they don't apply to every part. They apply to the part, the type of powder that I'm using today, which I'm using Eastwood. So you don't have to, you just make sure that you read the instructions on the ones you're using. So now I'm transitioning to my other oven. So I'm actually going to go to my other part that's a little bit bigger that I was not able to fit on my other oven, and I'm going to be using this one. And now I'm getting the part hot before I start the process of powdering, which is going to be looking very similar to the one you just saw. Not gonna lie, the first time I actually powdered, I got pretty scared when I saw what was happening with the part. And FYI, if this part were to be cold, you're never going to see that white kind of turning into dark color or whatever color it's underneath it. But the fact that, you know, the part is hot, that's why it's kind of reacting, and you see how it goes from white to black very quickly. And now at this point, I'm going to cook the part. I'm going to leave it in the oven for, you know, the directed amount depending on the brand you're using. In my case, it's like 20 minutes at 450 degrees. It's always nice to keep a thermometer inside just so you can watch the temperature, and you can check for any, you know, fluctuations in the temperature. It's coming along, so you can probably see it's coming out super nice. It's about cooked at this point. And it's, you know, keeping steady at 430. All right, so this part is exciting. And why it's exciting? Because this is the last part we're going to be doing on the right side of the bike. I still have the left side of the bike to do, but for the most part, it's going to be the same thing. If you are interested in seeing, you know, kind of disassemble the other part or whatnot, I can show you that, but I'll try to keep it kind of short so you can enjoy the video without, you know, having to watch a 30-minute video. So essentially, this is the last part. I'm not touching the part with my skin because I don't want to put any oils in it, but essentially this is already clean, so it's already in a place where I can just put it in the oven, get it hot, so I can apply the powder. The one thing that I want you to think about is this is the only part out of the 3 parts that I'm powder coating from the rear sets on the right side of the bike that actually has a pivoting motion, you know, part of the same whole assembly, right? So why this is important? It's important because when you apply the powder and the powder gets, you know, hot and attached and gets applied to the part, it gets actually pretty thick sometimes depending on how many powder you put on top, or coats you put on top of the part. So if I were to let powder to go inside of this part right here, whenever you put that type of bearing or whatever you put inside before you assemble the rear set, it's not going to be working correctly because it's not going to have the diameter, the same diameter as before. It's going to be actually be smaller because the powder actually takes a lot of space. In order for you to avoid that, if you're creating multiple designs or designs in a part that you're powdering, you can use high heat tape or masking tape, or you can use plugs like this. Silicone, these are high heat specifically. So you can put one in here. I'm going to put the other one in here. I'm just going to press them, and these are going to prevent from any powder to get inside of this area. I mean, you can always sanded it out and whatever, but it's not easy, and powder gets super thick and hard. All right, so now this part is ready for me to get powder coated, so I'm just gonna start working on it right now. I cannot tell you how excited I am from the bike, kind of to get these parts and kind of coated in this way, and I'm super proud of the results. So I'm hoping that I'm helping you to understand how easy this is and how easy and possible it is just to do it at home. Of course, like I said, there's going to be times where maybe you're limited by the amount of space you have inside of an oven, but if that's not the case and you have a pretty big oven, you can probably do bigger parts such as wheels and whatnot. But in my case, I'm actually limited to small parts for now, but this is possible at home. So I'm going to go ahead and do the left side of the bike, and I'm going to show you the next result next week. So thank you so much for watching. Please send me your questions if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer anything that you might want to know about this process, and I can even give you links or whatever you want based on the parts that I used in here today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.